Hello, my name is Kendall. Welcome back to another video. And if you're new here, hello, my name is Kendall. Today, I will be talking about quite an interesting creature, to say the least. The legend of today is the Legend of Goatman. He's a very interesting looking creature, and the more you look at him, the more uncomfortable it gets. There will be a story about this legend at the end of today's video, so make sure that you get comfy, get your popcorn, get your snacks, get your fruit roller, get your apple juice, and settle in as we begin. Goatman was first saw in 1957. So, unlike a lot of other legends, he is actually a pretty new legend, as some of them date back all the way to like the 1700s. He was initially spotted in Maryland, but he's also been seen in places like Louisiana and Texas. So Goatman gets around. We're gonna move on into his appearances. Stick with me here because he looks very strange. To begin from the bottom up, his legs are that of a goat, with the hooves, the hair, and everything. Next is his torso. His torso is that of a human being, a human male. What I will say is that some depictions of him, he does have hair covering his body, but then some depictions he also doesn't. It kind of depends on, I guess, the variety of Goatman we're dealing with, on if he has hair on his torso or not. Next is the head. He has the head exactly like a goat, though he can carry a couple of human features with that as well. He also has red eyes, which I'm going to insert a photo of the type of color that I'm talking about. It's almost like when you take a photo of somebody and their eyes glare red. It kind of looks like that. Another interesting fact about Goatman is he actually carries around a weapon. This is new. Okay, I don't know if he already had a weapon when he was first created, but he carries around an axe which he uses to hunt down animals and also hunt down people. And I'm sure from that description, you can tell that his personality is very aggressive and very menacing. He's definitely not like some of the other legends that we've talked about, like Bigfoot, where Bigfoot really doesn't necessarily try to harm people. But with him, he is actively hunting people down, actively trying to hurt someone or something. So if you happen to ever see Goatman, don't try to befriend it, run away. He has quite a list of things that he will do when it comes to violence. One is attacking people's cars. So if you have somebody who's driving down a street, for example, late at night, and they're all alone, it's very secluded, he will try to attack them and he will end up attacking the car in the process. So, of course, as well, people. And also something very strange is that he'll actually attack stray dogs and I believe eat them. He's said to live in like a really makeshift cabin in the middle of the wilderness. So it seems like he kind of just gets what is available. Now, there is some really interesting backstory about Goatman. He never actually existed naturally. In fact, he was human-made. He would be deemed as a science experiment gone wrong. At some point in the 1950s, there was this scientist that was doing a lot of studies and experiments with human DNA and animal DNA. One day, he really wanted to prove his point in an experiment that he was doing, so he decided to bring in a goat. I'm sure you can guess what happened. He ended up injecting this goat with human DNA. He didn't anticipate all the things that could go wrong, and in this case, the worst case possible happened. The goat turned into this weird human-goat hybrid, and all of a sudden had these mental skills and capabilities that it didn't have before. The scientist was not able to get control of this animal, and the animal was able to escape. It fled into the wilderness, where then it continued to terrorize people ever since. Now buckle in as I tell you the story of one of the victims who he terrorized. In October of 1986, there was a girl named Stephanie. Stephanie's heart raced with excitement as she climbed onto the hay-filled wagon for the Fall Festival Parade in rural Maryland. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of fall leaves and damp earth. As the wagon creaked to life, she stole a glance at the boy she had recently met at church. His presence as her date for the evening brought both comfort and excitement to the eerie setting of the night. The wagon ventured off the familiar main road onto a secluded path flanked by dense woods. The moon created a ghostly glow, casting elongated shadows that danced like phantoms on the forest floor. Stephanie clung to her friends, laughing nervously as they approached a dark, old country road that seemed to lead into the heart of the woods. It was then that Stephanie noticed something unsettling. The hayride had veered from its usual path, and she exchanged uneasy glances with her friends. But before they could voice their concerns, the wagon jolted to a stop, stuck in the mud. The atmosphere grew tense as the wagon's young occupants waited for the adult to come up with a solution. The woods seemed to close in around them. From the west side of the forest came a haunting sound, the eerie bleating of a goat. It was like nothing she had ever heard before. She glanced at Justin, who looked equally unnerved. Then, as if in response, the bleating began to surround them. Bah, bah, bah. It moved from one side of the woods to the other, encircling the wagon. Panic began to set in, and the children huddled together for safety. Suddenly, rocks began to pelt at the wagon, as if thrown by invisible hands. Thwack, thwack. The onslaught was relentless, and the terrified children covered their heads, trying to shield themselves from the unexplained assault. Stephanie's heart pounded in her chest, and she dared to peek through her fingers. Her eyes widened in horror as she saw the woods come alive with movement. Shadows fleeted between the trees, and she caught glimpses of dark figures with glowing eyes and elongated limbs. The creatures had horns, fur, and hooves like a goat, but it looked disturbingly like a man as well. "It's the Goatman," someone shrieked, and the name sent a chill through the air. The legend of the Goatman had circled around the town for years, but Stephanie had always thought it was just a scary story. As the children's screams echoed throughout the woods, the wagon suddenly lurched forward, breaking free from the mud. The nightmare wasn't over yet. Stephanie watched in horror as the jerking force of the wagon breaking loose from the mud sent one of the kids flying over the side of the wagon. "Justin!" she screamed as she watched the horse-drawn wagon leave him in the middle of the muddy road. They were going so fast, and the noise of the turning wagon wheels and drumming hoofbeats of the horses was so loud that it took several minutes to get the adults to understand what had just happened. She had been the only one to witness Justin's fall. By the time they had stopped, turned the wagon around, and went back, Justin was gone. They searched the woods for an hour, but found no sign of him. The kids were taken back to church, and the sheriff's office brought out a search team. They scoured the area for several days, but the only thing they ever found were hoof prints in the mud on the old, dark country road. That had a much darker ending than I anticipated. I thought that they were going to go get Justin and Justin was going to be okay, but the fact that he was never found again is like, that story did not have a good ending. That does conclude today's video. I truly hope you did enjoy, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for making it this far in my video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!